Special thanks to all our patrons who support the show every single week. We couldn't do it without you. Head over to patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast and subscribe today for bonus content, exclusive happy hour live chats, and more. Patrons, you help keep the Run, Eat, Drink podcast going, and we're so grateful for you. Not a patron yet? Join us today at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Help support the show by using our Amazon affiliate link anytime you shop on Amazon for running gear, food, beverages, or anything else the little gray trucks might bring your way. Just use runeatdrink.net/Amazon anytime you shop. It costs nothing extra. It's only one extra click, and it helps us keep the lights on and the bandwidth flowing. Just go to runeatdrink.net/Amazon, and we thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Kristin, part of the Runcation Nation, and you're listening to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country, and after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Dana, it's time for another Runcation recap.
I'm very excited. This has been the most fun interview series kind of experiment that I think that we've done on the show in a long time.
Members of the Runcation Nation are keeping us going because you and I are broken.
Yeah, quite literally.
So,
and apparently we're not under warranty anymore. You've got a bum wing. I've got a bum hoof. So
I feel like we're going to interview somebody who may be able to help fix us.
Yes. Imagine that. We got a medical professional on today. Maybe we can do a little teledoc kind of thing going on here.
An EMT.
Tele-EMT.
Welcome to our show, one of our longest running supporters in Patreon and an OG member of the Runcation Nation, Kristin Ceneviva-Iovene.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Round of applause. I don't want to hit the button. That's very loud.
You're not going to hit the button. I'm going to insert the sound later. So just imagine that you have a stadium full of people, like at maybe the Dolphin Stadium, applauding you.
Generally how I operate anyway.
Welcome to the show, Kristin. Thank you for joining us on the Run, Eat, Drink podcast this week.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
We're so happy to catch up with you. And we just want everybody in our podcast listening audience to know you. So before we dive into actually talking about our favorite things, running, eating,
and drinking,
accomplishing, exploring, and indulging, any way you cut it, can you just tell everybody a little bit about you, where you're from, what you do, and if you're drinking anything fun, let us know.
Yeah. So I am from way up north. I'm in Connecticut. I'm in that small state that everybody just drives through on their way to a fun place like Massachusetts. There's really not much of anything in Connecticut. Yukon sports, or you want to get shot at in Bridgeport or New Haven.
Oh my.
I've heard that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And she can confirm, apparently.
Somebody writes on the wee woo quite often.
Wow.
Which is the technical term for the ambulance, is the wee woo.
Learning all sorts of things.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I've lived in Connecticut my entire life, with the exception of the 4 years that I went to college in North Carolina.
Were you the Tar Heel?
No, I went to Winston-Salem.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because I was like, I don't know. That's the only sports team I know in North Carolina.
No, I went to an all-women's college.
Ah. Okay.
Yeah, down in Winston-Salem, there's a place called Old Salem, and that is literally my college.
Old Salem.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's
I'm from Salem, but it's Salem, Virginia.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of Salem. So every time I say Salem, everybody's like, oh, Massachusetts. I'm like, wrong direction.
No. Okay. You're wrong. No. Go further south. I know that your passion is being an EMT. Yes?
Yeah. I do. I love that.
You love it.
Yeah, I was a volunteer firefighter for a couple of years, and I actually got my EMT license 2 years ago. But I always really enjoyed first aid. I've always been really good in emergency situations. I was raised by a police officer.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's kind of been in my family for a really long time. My uncles were police officers. My dad retired as a captain. Yeah.
Very nice. And they told you, don't become a cop, become a firefighter.
No, he said, whatever you do, don't become a cop, don't marry a cop. So I married a firefighter. We saw how that ended. And then I became an EMT because I decided to go down the better route. But I love helping people. I love working on the ambulance. And I am an by trade. Sorry, but in a good way.
The best medics I've dealt with over the years have also been by trade. So absolutely, you have to have an element of that to deal with people who are in medical crisis, and I'm using air quotes there because that medical crisis is often a drug-induced situation and or a combination of mental health
or
and all
people
that.
just
And
panic.
There's some of that. There is some of that.
Ultimately, what it boils down to is nobody really wants to be in the back of an ambulance.
Bingo.
There you go.
They're either angry, scared, or embarrassed. And either way, they don't want to be there. So my ultimate job, besides keeping them alive, is really I try to just make them smile and laugh. And my bachelor's degree is in music and theater, so I use that to my advantage in the back of the ambulance.
Oh,
There you go. You make them laugh. You keep them calm.
You found your stage.
Yep.
Excellent.
So I actually, my favorite story is I have a dementia patient that I had to transport. We picked her up and the nurses were like, she's really combative. She's really aggressive. She's gotten physically aggressive with the staff and other patients. She cusses like a sailor. She's going to cuss you out. And I was like, bring it on. I know a lot of really good cuss words. So we'll go. I'm game for a challenge. Let's see. And I was just super sweet to her right off the bat. And I asked her, I was like, what's your favorite kind of music to listen to? And she was like, oh, I love Frank Sinatra. I was like, I love Frank. What's your favorite song? Oh, New York, New York. All right, game on. Let's sing it. We sang Rat Pack songs in the back of the ambulance the entire ride. She was a peach. Didn't have a single issue with her.
Aww.
Yep. Got to know how to deal with people at their worst.
So
Absolutely.
sweet. So sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take a stab at it that running provides you a little bit of stress relief and a way to combat that shift work cortisol kind of thing that goes on. Yes?
Absolutely. Because there's one thing I try to stress to people is you don't really realize it, but you show up at people's worst moments, right? I've shown up on scene and we've had to work a patient that did not make it. And then you leave and you go to your next call.
Yep.
And you have to just digest that and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. And people don't realize the accumulative effects that can
Stress.
have over prolonged periods of time. You're essentially microdosing trauma for the duration of your career. My hat is off to you. That's an aspect of public safety I've been adjacent to for the better part of 30 years, but I've not had to do that part. I'm like, we have people for that. The medical people do the medical things.
Oh my gosh.
You know, the ABCs of first aid, ambulance before cops. So
There you go. There you go.
So running is a great stress relief, and it's especially with really good playlists. It helps you release all of that stress and get out of your head for a little bit, and especially when you do it in some really great places.
Oh yeah.
So now you have been running longer than you've been an EMT, though. So how did you get started with running?
So I actually used to weigh about 300 pounds. And I started running to combat some of the health issues that I knew I was going to be facing. And I started off really slowly with couch to 5K. And I hated it. I hated it a lot. I ran my first 5K and I was like, I'm never going to run a race again. And then I was like, actually, I think I'm going to try a half marathon. And I just kept at it.
That escalated quickly.
It did. But people say that about Meb writes about it in his book. Meb Keflezighi writes about it. He ran his first New York City Marathon and said, I'm never going to run again. I'm never going to run. And look, he ran like 26 of them as a professional. So you've been running for how long? I
started in like 2008 2008, 2009.
Longer. Yes. You hated it 2 years before we did. 3 years. 3 years before we decided to hate it and then run the calories and then ingest them and travel to explore and indulge new locations. Replace the calories.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have had to slow down recently because I did, after my last race in 2022, was it 2022? No, 2023. I messed up my knee really bad.
Oh,
I
no.
I partially dislocated it.
Ooh, ouch.
Ooh, oh no. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But I got back into it. I did the wine and dine last year, but I didn't do Princess this past year for a variety.
Wine and Dine is our signature event, and I really wanted to get into it, but I was unable to.
Yeah.
We are registered for it this November, but we did not get into it last November, and I was like, oh, such FOMO.
I know, because I was there that one time, and I was like, this is the race they always run, and then you weren't there, and I was like, of course.
We had technical difficulties. You know how that one marathon weekend happened and people were all over the internet and they were like, we can't get in. And that happened to me. And I was like, I cannot believe we're not going to be perfect attendees with the name of our podcast. But so you have intimated that you have run Disney races.
Yes.
I would like to ask you the question and feel free to mull this over for a few seconds, but if you were going to recommend any race weekend to the Runcation Nation as a must-do, I'm going to put it on the bucket list. I want to talk about it with you. Which one is the one that people should do, should travel to, should run the race, should see the place, should explore and indulge in the food and beverage?
I'm very partial to Princess.
Ooh, because we have not done Princess.
No, we've done Tinkerbell.
We've done Tinkerbell out in California when it used to be a January race.
Yeah.
Why do people need to do that particular Disney race?
So the thing I love most about Princess is that it's great for every level of runner.
Ooh, okay. Why?
It is probably one of their biggest series because it's got I know all of their races have the 5K, the 10K, and the half marathon, but especially with Princess, it's so open to so many people. I've run it with my niece. Probably, how many years have we done it? I think we've done it like 3 or 4 years together.
And
she just turned 10.
Aww.
I mean, she hasn't done the half marathon. She's only done the 5K, but still, she's done the 5K with us.
When she was younger, did she do the kids' races with you?
She did, yeah.
That's it's kind of family themed in that you have seen her grow and been able to make memories over the years together in those events.
Yeah.
Do you think she'll do the half?
She wants to. She absolutely wants to.
Wow.
We were actually planning on this past year having her do the 10K with us.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I want to say we've had Wine and Dine, we've had Marathon Weekend. Have we had Princess registration already?
For this year?
For this year, for this coming next February? I don't know if we have, but have we? But okay. So we probably haven't had Springtime Surprise. There's a whole season of Disney races. So if you've done them for many years, must have tips about the registration process and what it's like. What?
It has changed. It has changed in the past. It has changed in the past year. Like last year when I went to go register, I do the same thing that I always do. I have it open and I usually get on like the same way I always do. And the 5K sold out before I could get into it. The 10K sold out. I was only able to get the challenge.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
You were, okay, so you couldn't get the individuals. You could only get the combo.
Just the 10K
and that's
and
so
the
backwards. Sometimes it goes the other way.
Yeah.
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 I think that if you're relatively new to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast and you're hearing this and you're like, oh, I have these Disney races. The Disney races, regardless of which one, are a nightmare of online registration.
It's very stressful. I think it's more stressful than actually the race weekend itself.
It's horribly stressful. And they used to, because I was Vacation Club and Annual Pass, and we used to be able to register early.
Right.
I know.
And now we can't.
Because of
Club Run Disney.
Yeah.
And for those that are not familiar with that, Club Run Disney is basically I'm going to be a little less positive than I normally am.
Lord
it's a pay-to-play
mercy.
scheme that Run Disney's come up with, and you can buy your way into preferred registration and corral placement.
And there are some people who do that, and yay for them.
Sure.
Yay for them.
And if you run multiple races throughout the year, I'm sure that it's a benefit.
Worth it.
For me, who generally only was doing Princess, it was not worth the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say if you're doing three races or more, that's when it starts to give you that return on your.
And there have been some people out there, like our friends over at Rise and Run. I know that Bob, who used to be Bob is 65 and dopey, is now 70 and dopey on Instagram. He was like, he did all the race weekends. I think on both coasts, or I have to confirm. At least, no, I think he did in all of them. I think it was all
the Florida ones.
All the Florida ones. So, but I just saw so much bling. But anyway, so I saw so much bling from him. But see, for a guy like that who set that as a goal, and that membership would have its advantages.
Yeah.
But we are like you. We were like annual pass. We were like,
not DVC, but annual pass holders.
And we were able to register. And now it's very stressful because we have to register with everybody on the registration day. So I would say
the thousands of runners crush the servers.
Yeah.
Every single race. So websites have a hard time loading. Amy, now, Kristin, do you do this? Amy will have multiple devices with multiple web browsers going.
Oh, yeah.
Do you do that?
Absolutely.
And still, while you're in queue, while we're talking about the registration process, Run Disney, we love you. We love you. But at the same time, it's very stressful, and we have several different ones, and then you're in the queue and it says 60 minutes remaining, 15 minutes remaining, an hour remaining over here. And then they'll give you little pop-ups. Like Kristin said, it's been updated so that it will inform you below your anticipated wait time when the 5K sells out, when the challenge sells out, when the 10K sells out. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah, they just did that this past year. And I saw like the 5K sell out. And I called my friend and I was like, the 5K is gone. And I was like, and she was like, okay, I guess we'll just sign my niece up for the 10K.
Yeah.
And then her and I could do the half marathon. And then the 10K sold out. And I was like,
is your niece going to do any of the races? Are you looking into, because I do know that Run Disney does partner for charity bibs.
I don't know if we're going to be able to do the charity bibs or not. She does so much already.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she does softball. She plays violin. She does karate. She does community service already. She's in Girl Scouts. So like she already has so many other fundraising endeavors and activities that she's part of. I don't know if adding on to that with a charity bib, because a lot of these, it's great, but if you don't hit your goal, then you have to pay for the
You're on the hook. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And if you're a kid that excels in all of the variety of activities that you have just mentioned, that can be tough. That can be tough. But it could be a cheer squad opportunity.
Yeah.
There is that, because a trip to Disney to cheer on runners, like we've learned in the past,
doesn't suck either.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's in our little cheer squad for when her mom and I run the half marathon all the time. It would be great to be able to get her into the 10K at some point too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, for that race weekend, they don't make any changes to requirements in terms of pace or anything. They still adhere to is it the 16 minute a mile for Princess as well?
Correct. Yep.
So standard pace requirement for a Run Disney event. Race entry fee, you recall ballpark what you were looking at? I know that the Run Disney races tend to be a little pricier. You pay a Disney tax, but you get a Disney experience.
I think 119 or 129 for the 5K, whatever their usual cost is, and then of that for each race is a little bit more. And then the challenge, because you bundle the two together.
Exactly.
So what I usually do is, because I do all three races, so I would get the 5K and then I'd get the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have you thought about if there's a virtual medal for the 10K, getting it for your niece, because they do the virtual races now? And then maybe having her do her miles in the park on the trip?
Yeah, that's one of the other options that we talked about doing too.
Because that didn't exist before when we all started to do Run Disney events. So it's something to consider.
Yeah, that's actually a good idea.
And it's a little less expensive for those too.
Mm-hmm. And you can do them anywhere, even at Disney during the race weekend. And just saying.
Yeah, you're not going to run the exact same course, but you'd be shocked at how many miles you can get in the parks.
That is so true.
We actually did that in 2021 because they didn't have the princess races during 2021 because it was still COVID time.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the virtual medals and we just did the miles around the parks and around the resort.
We did that a lot with some of the virtual races that they do for medal chasers.
Yes.
They were doing a Marvel series after Disney stopped doing the superheroes half out in California.
Yeah, I did the last one of that. I did that in 2017.
So did we. We could have crossed paths there.
We probably did.
We probably did.
And just didn't know it. We just didn't know it. So,
and that one had the superheroes always had my favorite bling, and I haven't seen what this year's bling. I don't know if they've announced it yet, but I'm bling driven, as we've learned.
Oh yes.
How's the bling for this race weekend?
For which one?
For Princess. I'm sorry.
Oh, for Princess, it's not too bad. So the Princess one. So my only issue with the Princess bling is that they tend to use the same princesses, and then this just swap them for whichever race they're covering. Every once in a while, they'll bring a new princess in, and then they'll use her for a little bit, and then they'll swap it out. There tends to always be like a Cinderella. They had Jasmine for a while, which was great. They had Aurora, and then they brought in Moana. They had Merida once. She was on like the kids' medal.
Now, wait a minute.
I know.
I could make a joke, but I won't. She has red hair. Mm-hmm. She needs to be front and center. She does not need to be put to the side. You know what I mean. I love that.
Listen, if they're not going to do a Star Wars race, then they could put Princess Leia in there.
Exactly.
She's
then
now
you would have
officially
like
a Disney princess.
You would have a whole new. You could bring back Star Wars, just like all of those people that are lining Osceola Parkway in between the parks and say, "Bring back Star Wars."
Listen, I want them to do some of the underrated, forgotten characters that should be princesses, but nobody considers princesses. So I have a list of people.
Give us one of your hot takes. Who?
I want to know.
Megara.
And for those who don't know, tell us more. Who is that?
She's from Hercules.
There is no Disney princess from Hercules.
And it would be perfect because of the Michael Bolton song about the going the distance, right?
Mm-hmm.
She ran as her for one of the races. She's one of my favorite characters.
So it would just be perfect. It would just be, since we're talking about costumes, can I ask the costume question now?
Yes.
Can I do that? So are you already planning to run in costume this next year? Have you already planned your costume design?
We generally always have a couple ideas floating around, and it just generally tends to be more of if we get in, then we start to solidify. We always have a couple ideas floating.
I think that's good because you never know about the weather, especially in February in Florida. It can be freezing, it can be rainy, it can be literally anything.
We always have once we know that we're registered and we figured out what we're going to be, we always have a hot weather and a cold weather idea.
Yes.
Smart.
Now, are there brands that you go by that are 100% like I will not go to a race without Boulder bottoms.
You will eventually.
right now. I have to. I love them.
Rest
with
in
the
peace,
pockets. With the they're still doing custom fabric for as long as they can.
Yeah.
But I like right now. I just can't go without that because of the pockets and because they're perfect. Or Belega socks. All of these people are not sponsors of the show, but thank you for what you do. Or like a certain material of shirt from a company. Are there? You must bring these certain things into the costume? So for me, the only thing I'm really particular about is what's on my feet.
Makes sense.
Socks, shoes, or the whole shebang? Socks and shoes. And he'll wear features.
Yeah, I'm a features guy through and through for race day, and Brooks for shoes.
And I'll wear Brooks for shoes, but I have Belega socks to avoid blisters. Do you have a certain brand of sock that you go with all the time? I go between Under Armour and Saucony. I like both of those. And I wear Saucony shoes.
Oh,
yes. I have never anything else since I have started. It has always been.
Mm. Yeah.
You have to find what works for you. And everybody's different.
I've done the running in the wrong shoes thing more times than I care to count. I will not make that mistake again.
Mm-mm. No. Yep. So, and I've been fortunate that I've been able to find, because I'm that person where when I plan my outfit, my shoes have to go with the character that I'm running. And I've been fortunate that I've been able to find Saucony shoes to go with every single outfit every single time.
Oh, that's great.
Wow. That can be tough.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because especially if you have a particular, like I like either Brooks Addictions or Brooks Demons.
Oh, you like the Beasts.
Or the Beasts, excuse me.
For you.
And you get whatever the color of that year is, and that's it. And they may have a black on black option, maybe. Like
you want to run in gray, you want to run in pink, then we got that for you. And this year is what are made for me.
Yeah.
There was a year I ran as Sven and Hey Hey and Vanellope. So I had like literally 3 different pairs of sneakers because none of them are the same color on the bottom.
Wow.
But that's also good for just in case you run into inclement weather in any of the early races.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you would have, it pouring cold rain for the 5K where I ran as Hey Hey. So it was good that I had a different pair of shoes for the next 2 races. Exactly.
Yeah.
So smart. Good tip. Yes. I know that I usually put costumes later, but we were talking about them and she was giving us the hot take and
exactly.
I just...
Now, when it comes to this race, is there a cause attached to the race weekend, like a charity that benefits from it? I know that RunDisney typically does that with some of the other race weekends. Do you know if there's something attached to Princess?
Yeah, it's Children's Miracle Network, I believe.
That had to speak to your servant's heart, I'm guessing. To be able to support them as well.
Yeah. And before I started working at the job that I have now, I actually worked for almost a decade for Girl Scouts of Connecticut. So I worked with kids for a very long time. And I have 14 nieces and nephews between my blood family and my chosen family. So I love children. So
to say that this motivated you is probably an understatement.
Yeah. Aww. Now, okay. So when you're training and the pre-race prep kind of situation, so how soon before Princess do you start to train? So I generally start training around like September timeframe. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So September, October, November, December. So a good 6 months then. Yeah. Yeah. I should really get started for Wine and Dine.
6 months out's about right.
Because I'm behind already.
The latest you can start training for Wine and Dine is July.
And that's cutting it close for us. So okay. And do you have
appropriate terrain around you where you live to be able to train hills, or like for those overpasses that we sometimes have to manage?
The biggest issue that I face is because I live in Connecticut and I'm training in the winter, I generally have to train inside on a treadmill.
Oof.
Yeah, ouch. I didn't think about that because that's the fall.
Yeah.
And the winter.
And so the first time I ever ran Princess, I did all of my runs outside because I was thinking of training for the terrain. But I trained myself to run in the winter weather here. So when I got to Florida and I ran and started running in that humidity, my lungs were not happy.
No.
And from there on out, I trained inside and I was perfectly fine because my lungs didn't have to readjust to the weather.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned the hard way.
Oh.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Disney, the humidity at Disney sneaks up on people.
It can be palpable.
Even on days when it's not terribly hot.
Yeah.
I've seen people fall out there.
And it just, I would rather take the boring, grueling, stupid treadmill runs.
Some people call it the dreadmill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over dying on the side of the road in the humidity.
Yeah, because you get here and you have that temperature that you're not used to, especially if you've trained in northern climes, but especially the humidity and just, what do you carry with you when you run?
So I usually have my handheld water bottle.
Yeah.
So I have that, and that generally has just water in it. And then I'll have my gel packs that are in there. And then I'll usually have 1 or 2 gel packs in my pocket because I always have pockets in my running leggings.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have specific ones that you have to have during training and during the race so that you don't have unexpected stops or gastrointestinal distress, let's say?
Yes, because so I have food allergies. And so I can't do the regular goo. I tend to do the honey stingers.
I like honey stingers.
Love it.
That's a good one.
Honey stingers are one of my favorites. Sometimes if I'm going to put something in my drink, I'll do Noon.
You lost me there. but that's just me. I'm not a Noon fan.
I've heard a lot of people that they
I know.
like Noon.
They do.
Yeah. It's a subtle flavor.
Yeah.
It's subtle.
Which is why I like it.
Yeah.
Because I don't like anything super too much in my water. There was other ones that I was using a while back that were chia based.
Interesting.
Okay.
But
okay.
The texture after a while is just
got to you.
Too much.
So I stick with the honey stinger.
I've seen the chia based ones.
Have you?
I've seen them. I haven't tried them, but I having used chia seeds a lot in like overnight oats and stuff. I'm like, that's going to be like tapioca.
I can't imagine like the thickness of it.
The texture would not. That wouldn't do it for me. I can't even. The reason I like honey stingers so much as opposed to goos, some of the others, is that it tends to be a little looser, and it doesn't feel like you're trying to choke down a big spoonful of cake frosting.
That's true.
So.
That's very true. I like that.
For me, especially, it doesn't hurt my stomach. Like goo would just feel like a bowling ball.
Yes. It can. It's and you tried another one that Adrian Hazlitt recommended
Morton.
to you.
I think it's a German company. What's it? Maurten, I think it is. And let me just it's flavorless. And I didn't try the bars. I just tried the gel, and it really just gives you the sugar hit that you need to keep going. Like that without the flavor, and it doesn't upset your tummy. It doesn't have anything that is going to make you stop unexpectedly or like grit or just sit in your tummy like that. Like you're like a brick, like you were talking about. So she did. She turned me on to that when I saw it and I tried it. Very, very good.
Everyone's getting some good tips on the
nutrition side.
Nutrition.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit about when you're on property or when you're there for race weekend, Kristin. When you're there, you're coming from way out of state, so you're probably driving or flying. And when you're there, in terms of transportation, what do you tend to gravitate towards? Do you rent a car? Do you Uber, Lyft? Do you use the Disney buses? What's your go-to or recommendation for people?
So I've been very fortunate. The past few years, we've stayed at the Polynesian.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah. So we use the monorail and we use the buses.
Nice.
On the property, and especially for the race weekend, to get to and from the race area, they have the buses, and then for the half marathon, it's the monorail. It takes you directly over to the Epcot parking area.
Oh.
So you have to walk over to ticket and transportation, and you get on the monorail to Epcot, and it takes you there.
That's convenient.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a tip.
That is a good tip.
If you can splurge and it's like a true runcation, and it's like you're going to go and you're going to do this Disney race and you're going to do it upright and you're going to do Princess, then it sounds like Polynesian is a great place, or a monorail resort is the way to go. So Will you stay there again?
If I can afford to, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you would stay there.
So
again.
you would, if it was, yeah. And you would recommend it as a place to stay for this
absolutely.
particular race weekend.
It is very convenient. And the other thing that's great about it is, and even if you're not staying at the Polynesian, but the great thing that I love about the Polynesian, if you do stay there, is not only is it great for the transportation to and from the races, but especially for the half marathon, because that starts in Epcot parking lot. And you run down the highway to ticket and transportation to head towards Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
So your cheer squad can get back on the monorail to go back towards ticket and transportation. They can see you there. And then while you're running through Magic Kingdom, they can go to their room. They can use the restroom, grab a snack, drop off some bags if they need to. Then they can walk across the Polynesian Resort to the other side where Shades of Green is and where Grand Floridian is. And that's mile 7 for you. So as you come down that way, they can catch you there as well.
Ooh.
That's a good tip. That's a really good tip.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That might make that worth splurging on.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're really generous, and you know that they're going to see you there. They can have a bagel or something really handy if you might need a little snack during your run.
A snack, or I don't know, some extra body glide or
hydration. Or whatever. Yeah. Absolutely.
Maybe a Dole Whip.
Yeah. Anything.
Yeah. So
because it's a very narrow road, and if you guys have planned it in advance, you can make that work.
That's good. Okay. So now we know what transportation is good for on property at the Princess, what lodging would give you and your cheer squad the best advantage. How do you like the pre-race experience? Why do you recommend Princess for the pre-race experience?
As far as for the expo and things?
Do you like the expo? Do you like the pre-race party before they let you loose in any of the races, or?
They don't really have any pre-race party that I've been to. Unlike Wine and Dine, there's no like post-race party or pre-race party or anything. The expo's been pretty fun. I like going to all the different vendors, and they always have the great photo ops with whoever the princesses happen to be at the time.
Yes.
Whoever's going to be on the medals. That's always fun. And especially when you're traveling with a young child or someone who identifies as a young child.
Yes. So I need to see the princesses.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you're going there for the Disney experience,
you're a kid.
Have the Disney experience.
You're a kid. I love the expo because you can see the medals and you can hold them in your hand and think, this is going to be me when I cross the finish line.
Yeah, and they have like lots of extra bling for us princesses. So they have tiaras, they have like champagne glasses, and they have all those things on sale in the vendors area. So you can walk around and drink your champagne and wear your tiara while you're checking out the medals. So you live it up like a princess.
Like a princess. Yeah.
Yeah. And I went above and beyond one year, and we went to the spa and salon at Grand Floridian, and we went and got our hair and makeup done before the half marathon, we had them do it like our characters.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
You had it done like the night before?
The night before the half marathon.
Yeah, I doubt they're open the morning of. That's a 1 a.m. wake up.
Yeah.
So I ran as Yzma and my friend ran as Cinderella. So she had her little Cinderella makeup and I had Yzma. Like they gave me like purple things in my hair and all kinds of great stuff. It was fun.
Oh, that's so cool.
Aww.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Now, you talked about the expo a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What has been your experience with merchandise there at the expo? And the reason I'm asking, this is always the hot button discussion.
I knew you were going there.
And I'm on record as being very frustrated with Run Disney, specifically the merchandise side, because there's no controls really put in place for making sure that the online resellers aren't getting in there, getting all the good stuff. And then, if you don't get there on Wednesday, you know, of race week, you're out of luck. So have you had good luck with finding the merchandise, the themed merchandise that you want when you get there?
Sometimes.
It's the coin flip.
Yeah.
So I'm also very lackadaisical. I don't generally get a lot of the themed merchandise. There's not much that I generally will purchase there. I get the t-shirts that kind of come with the races, like those dry tech shirts. And maybe I'll get like an ornament.
Ooh.
My friend that I run with, she likes getting the zip ups. So sometimes it's a little difficult to find those.
Mm-hmm.
So I've stood in line for 3 hours to try to get in time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's before they instituted the whole like fast pass or
virtual queue type thing.
Yeah. And even then you're still standing in line for a long time.
Yeah, so a lot of our listeners may not know if they've never done a Run Disney race. Disney has instituted essentially fast passes for going into the merchandise area. Specifically the Disney merchandise area, the Run Disney merch for inside of the expo. You can go in the expo, but the last several times they've been separating out the Run Disney merch. And it's in one of the separate buildings there at the ESPN.
Yes.
Yeah. And so basically what it is you get your time and they're like, okay, it's your time to go get in line. So you go in and you walk through the area that leads to the Run Disney merch. And so you're walking through this whole arena entrance area. And then surprise, you've entered this room of a gigantic zigzag queue. And then you're in that like hour and 20 minutes before you
Wow. It's like going to get a Gideon's cookie or...
Yeah.
Pretty much. It's a lot longer.
You're training for your park experience is what you're doing.
I guess. So let me ask you this. The race experience itself at any of the races at Princess, in terms of the course or in terms of characters or in terms of the terrain or the finish line, what stands out for you that makes it a must-do, as Stacy used to say?
So
on the videos at the...
I look at 5K and the 10K that go through Epcot. The 10K goes through Hollywood Studios and Epcot. So you get to hit 2 parks at once. I love that. I love that Princess. You get to run through Magic Kingdom. The only downside of Princess is miles 6 to 12 are all highway.
I think that's also...
But that's...
with any Disney weekend, though.
Any half marathon, yeah.
It's hard to find a half marathon that's not going to just be all highway. But I love doing Princess because it's just, when you get to run, when you hit Magic Kingdom and you're running down Main Street and there's just crowds of people on both sides of you.
So close.
And you're just, it's the greatest feeling ever because, I mean, I can't explain it. It's just, it's so magical. And then you veer off into Tomorrowland and then you circle back around and you come through the castle, and that in and of itself is amazing. Yeah. No matter how many times I've done that race.
Yeah. It always gets you.
Probably like 8 times at this point now. And it's amazing every single time.
That Magic Kingdom experience is what does it for you.
Absolutely.
And more so than, say, the finish line?
More so than the finish line.
Yeah.
That Main Street and the castle, hands down better than the finish line.
So.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, so you've talked about the overall experience, and that is really, that's the reason you're running a Disney race, what you're talking about right there, I think.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the logistics on the course. What was your impression of things like pace groups, water stops, nutrition stops, or other runner support? Did you think that that it was adequate? Was it plentiful? Were they non-existent? What were your thoughts?
The thing I tell everybody is if you ever want to do your first ever half marathon, do it at Disney, because they are number one with safety. First off, I've never seen so many friggin' traffic cones in my entire life. Ever.
And those things are expensive.
They do know how to navigate people safely.
They do. And there's always that joke of caution runners, speed bump ahead. They not only announce that, they have people that stand there and tell you. They wave the little Mickey hand so that you're aware. They're great with that. They always have I always see the EMTs on the bikes, the medical people on the bikes. I stopped one time because there was a woman who was lightheaded and dehydrating, and with it, there's somebody there to help her. You know,
I can't tell you how many. We're back of the Packers, so we have seen those medics, and I have borrowed BioFreeze from them on more times that I can count when my knees were just not cooperating.
Yeah, they do have phenomenal personnel doing the on-course support like that.
I think what you were looking when she said caution runners speed bump ahead.
I have that sound effect. I just couldn't find it.
We can insert it.
I may not have it on this new board,
but we can insert it though in post.
The last 5K I did, we ran as traffic cones with that on the back of our shirt.
Do you have photo evidence of this?
Yes, I do.
We might need that for the episode artwork.
Absolutely.
Now, with all of that distraction on the course and things to look at, things to experience, of course, you can stop along the race courses and do character photos.
Yes.
Do you tend to partake in those?
So I don't generally stop and take pictures with the characters unless it's somebody that has a very short line.
I gotcha.
We're the same.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So you've got all this stuff that takes your mind off the pain of running.
Yes.
But when you talk about a distance like a half marathon, even a 10K can be pretty challenging, or a 5K if it's your first. What do you think is the biggest challenge for this race, the physical or the mental, and in what way?
Definitely the mental. And so I did probably the first 4 half marathons by myself. And then the last 4 I've done with my friend. And those last 4, having someone to run with makes them so much better.
Yeah, I'd say that's true at any distance, but yeah.
Having a running buddy is it's so much better for your own mental mindset. And it makes it go so much faster. I know it doesn't, but it does. Because you're not in your own head and you're not self-sabotaging yourself.
Exactly.
You're not. And ultimately what I'm focusing on is keeping her positive, which keeps me positive, right? And it keeps me going and it keeps her going and we keep each other going. And then we keep the people around us going. And it's just like this big positivity cloud that just continues to spread out around us. And that's the other thing that I love about Disney is everybody cheers everybody on. Everybody's there to support everybody. And I've done other 5Ks, other half marathons in other states, in Connecticut here, in Long Island, in New York, and nobody's nearly as positive as the people who are at Run Disney. Like, not even close. Everybody is there and having so much fun, and they want to be there, and they want everybody around them to be there and have fun. Like, everybody to finish.
Yeah. I do think that when you get that oddball that shows up to a Run Disney and like, I'm going to PR here, and then they start being overly aggressive, running, they stick out like a sore thumb. You are in the wrong race. You're in the wrong headspace, wrong race to be coming here like that.
It's the place to PR in friendship and fun.
Yes.
That's what it is.
Yeah. And with all the races that take you through the parks, when you get those places where it narrows to where you're going to walk.
Yeah.
Or you're going to throw elbows.
Why?
And then it's just going to get ugly. Don't do that. Yeah. That is not the race that you go to try to PR.
Exactly. But now, okay. So let's say you've crossed the finish line. And let's say you have the bling and you're ready to celebrate. Where are you going for your food and beverage celebration? What are you going to, and it doesn't have to be one place. Where are you getting a celebratory beverage? Where are you going that you would recommend for a meal, either after you clean up after the half or maybe the day after once you've rested up? Where are you going?
Hands down, every single time it is tradition, we go to Cape May Cafe.
We've never been there.
No, we haven't.
We have not been there.
Tell us more.
Right? We haven't been there.
Cape May Cafe. So again, I have food allergies, so I am limited as to what I can eat.
Mm-hmm.
But seafood is hands down my favorite thing. And Cape May Cafe has all you can eat, like shrimp and mussels and clams and seafood. And they have the most amazing allergy chef, Chef TJ, and he absolutely loves his job. And he will feed me until you need to roll me out of there.
Oh.
I love it.
Yeah. And so we go there and I will eat my body weight in seafood.
Oh.
And especially after doing 3 back-to-back races, I can eat my body weight in seafood.
There you go.
That is a great tip because, again, we have listeners who have food allergies as well. We don't cover nearly enough seafood on the show. I don't think we certainly do cover some, but I don't think that I don't know that we've ever done a Disney seafood option.
It's a buffet style. So they have a carving station as well. They have like other options on there too.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest things that people go there for is they have the seafood boil. So the corn on the cob, the boiled potatoes. So they have all of that stuff.
It's an Old Bay seasoning. Yeah.
Yeah. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely the best.
All of the drawn butter the melted butter and oh my God. Okay.
You're talking her language.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So I imagine.
So is that your post-race celebratory meal there?
Cape May Cafe.
Cape May Cafe.
Do you generally do it the night after or do you do it the next day?
Oh, no, I do it that way.
And you just get decked out. You like all the medals or just the challenge medal or what is your.
You go full Mr. T starter kit?
I will put the challenge medal on, but I'll have all of my medals in my backpack with me.
Oh.
Smart.
There you go.
You don't
never
realize
know about.
You don't realize how heavy those medals get after a while.
But also the photo opportunities. Are you going to want or are you going to want the challenge? Are you going to want it? And you never know about characters you'll encounter or where you're going to go.
Yeah. And the other thing that I love about being there, especially with Chef TJ, because again, he loves his job. If you ever go on any of the allergy boards for Disney, you'll hear a lot about Chef TJ. He'll come out because they have a dessert buffet as well. So there's all different kinds of little desserts that they have there.
Yeah.
But make chef specialty desserts for those of us with allergies. So he comes out with this ginormous plate of allergy friendly desserts. And he's known for his bottle of chocolate sauce. And he comes out and he puts the plate in front of you and then he just dumps chocolate sauce all over it. And just holds it there for a solid minute. And he just giggles the entire time. I have video of it.
Oh, that would be so great to see. My goodness. Yeah.
That is awesome.
And it's so good to feature a place that will accommodate and will give you whatever you need to make it such a magical experience.
To use their terminology. Now,
yeah.
What would you describe this? You said it's buffet style. I'm assuming that it's a little more casual in terms of dress.
Oh, that's a good question.
Do you need reservations? Or they?
Yeah, so you don't have to have reservations, but I highly recommend doing reservations. And it's is it Beach Club?
It's the Epcot area resorts, right? It's the Epcot area resorts. So it's either yacht and beach or, right?
I think it's, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not super dressy. It's casual.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And of
More
course,
like
And that's one of the best areas of the resorts that you can stay at, too, in terms
so-
of convenience to things.
everything is near you.
And there's a lot of good dining in that area, too.
Yes. Now, do you have a go-to beverage?
So generally, after that, I tend to go to
Epcot, Mexico.
because I love La Cava.
La Cava del Tequila, for those who don't know.
This is the little tequila bar that's inside the Ziggurat Pyramid that you kind of walk in, you can go down and then hang a right, and it's tucked away in there.
I love it.
Yes. So I either do a tequila flight or I'll get a spicy margarita.
Both great options.
Oh, you're a mezcal guy, though. Huh?
I am. I tend to. You do the tequila. I do the
I
mezcal.
like mezcal too.
Yeah.
So those are generally, tequila is always my go-to. I am a tequila gal, through and through.
Or a spicy margarita.
Now-
That's like the one, like with a jalapeno or...
Yeah, with the poblano tequila or the ancho chili verde tequila.
Nice. Nice. I didn't mean to cut you off. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to ask. So when you go to the World Showcase, I'm sorry.
I start in Mexico.
You start in Mexico.
I knew you were going to ask that.
Okay.
If we start in Mexico, we'll never make it to any other country.
Probably.
Well, my issue is, so I have gluten is one of my bigger allergies. So I have to start in Mexico because otherwise I wouldn't be able to drink for quite some time.
That is true. You could go to Rose and Crown and go straight for like I think you could.
No?
You're right. You have to start in
Wow.
Mexico. Yeah. I thought this through.
I start in Mexico. I get my tequila flight and my margarita. I down the tequila flight, and then I carry my margarita around for a little while. I have a process.
Very well planned.
And that is a great recommendation. I believe that we've talked about La Cava before, many episodes
Yeah,
past,
it
but
may have been-
it bears repeating. The place is consistently good. And they have finally brought back the light fare food service that they have there. So they've got some of the absolute best white queso. You can get the queso guacamole and chips and grab a seat in there. And
I'm so glad that's back. But really, their stuff where it's at, it's the margaritas and the tequila, and of course the mezcal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, is there any other place other than, or La Cava? How can you tell you can't top La Cava?
I don't know. Do you have, or where do you go from there?
I mean, my other pavilion is Morocco.
Okay, tell us more.
Tell us more about
because
this.
This is one that a lot of people may not know about.
So I like Morocco because they have the hummus platter,
Ooh.
and they'll do it gluten-free for you. So I just won't get like the pita bread. I get like extra veggies.
Oh,
Very
nice.
And the food there is always good. That's the, what's it called? The Spice Table?
Yeah.
Spice Road Table?
Spice Road
Yeah.
Table.
Yes. Yeah. And we've had some pretty good beverages from there too.
We have.
So it's nice little, and Mexico and Morocco are spaced out. So you can walk with that margarita and enjoy
and savor it.
Celebrate with your medal, get a picture by the water, and then by the time you get to Morocco, you're ready for more.
I will say when I was down there for Wine and Dine, because they had more booths and more options available, I was able to drink around the world for the most part.
Ooh.
That's true. If you catch them at the time, Food and Wine, of course, is going on during the Wine and Dine half marathon weekend.
It's
but
the longest running festival they have.
if it's not that, though, they have a festival pretty much all year round now.
Festival of the Holidays. After that, Festival of the Arts.
Then Flower and
Then
Garden.
Flower and Garden. But they start Wine and Dine in July.
They do.
Or Food and Wine Festival.
Food-
sorry,
yeah.
I'm so sorry. Yes.
Kristin, we've talked about this Disney race weekend, and
Yes.
we love your recap of this.
Yes.
What is next for you? Where are you going to be accomplishing, exploring, and indulging next?
For races or just in general?
Both.
Either. Yeah.
So I'm not sure as far as races yet. Like I said, I've been taking a little bit of a break because I partially dislocated my kneecap last year.
You got to heal.
Yeah. And I'm working on my spine right now. My cervical spine's a little messed up from working on a computer a lot. Yeah.
Oh, I understand.
And ambulance yoga, it's a thing. Sometimes you sleep in some weird position.
Mm-hmm.
Ambulance yoga.
Have you ever tried to take a nap in the front seat of an ambulance?
Not the front seat of an ambulance, but the front seat of a police car. So
neither.
You get it.
Yeah.
It's not comfortable. So, like I said, trying to fix that a little bit. So I'm going to start running within the next week or so, just a couple small miles. But I've been doing yoga, actual yoga.
Love yoga. Yeah.
I'm not a fan. It stresses me out.
No?
It stresses me out so much.
I do it at home. I don't do it in a studio per se or go out in public and do it.
I do too, and it stresses me out.
Really?
I'm not flexible at all.
I have to send you some of the classes that I do because it's just non-judgmental yoga.
I did this one that's supposed to be good for like spinal rotation, and I was like,
it's too much. No.
It's not meant to rotate.
You just have to heal. You have got to heal and get right before this is advice I need to follow myself.
True story.
That I need to get better and then we can accomplish, explore, and indulge together. Yes. Yeah. So we can't thank you enough for recapping the Princess Weekend because we haven't ever been a part of it. And congratulations on many years of that race and having it be a family affair. And we just hope to accomplish, explore, and indulge with you, Kristin, really soon. That's a wrap. So thank you for joining us on your long run, your commute to work, around the house, wherever you are. I'm your host, Amy.
And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Stay safe and well, and we will accomplish, explore, and indulge with you really soon. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having another great year thanks to your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We're at Run, Eat, Drink Podcast. And on Twitter, we're Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or send us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Find out how you can support the show at patreon.com/runeatdrinkpodcast. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.